Prospects for collective action amongst SMEs in Nigeria to tackle corruption gained traction with a strategic workshop session organized by UN Global Compact Network. This was in partnership with Siemens and the Convention for Business Integrity. It featured focus group sessions discussing key action steps that should be prioritized by SMEs in their fight against corruption. Mr. Soji Apampa of the Convention of Business Integrity speaks on the workshop and the plans for advocacy engagement with the presidency on the collective action plan.
I think that this is a very, very important initiative. There are some initiatives like that. For example, we apart from dealing with MSMEs that I said earlier, and 96% of the private sector, we also need to deal with professionals who are intermediaries in most corruption schemes, the accountants, the lawyers, and so on. We have to have something that gets them reforming. It shouldn't be just government action, as I said. Then, so it's the professionals, it's MSMEs, and youth. At the end of the day, if you can get those three groups working on a self-help basis, collective action to reduce corruption, I think we will begin to make progress. And the role of government will then to provide the policy environment that incentivizes the right kinds of behaviors. So how do I see what is happening here today? I'm excited. And I think this is a very welcome development, and I commend the UN Global Compact and the NESG for taking this initiative. And the Convention on Business Integrity recently joined the initiative as the independent facilitator for the collective action. So we will be helping the participants drive the agenda forward and encouraging them on what steps need to be taken in order to actualize the dreams that they have.
The head of the UN Global Compact Network Nigeria office, Olajobi Makinwa, gives further insights into the developments in the anti-corruption workshop for SMEs.
As you have seen today, is that we need to prioritize. There are some things that are of high impact if we do them, and that we can do, achieve within the next 1 year. And there are others that will take some time. So we want to address the most important. From there, we go to other issues. For example, the small and medium enterprises have said that developing a compliance kit themselves, that is getting themselves internally clean and being able to adopt a policy, for example, that will be focused on integrity so that they themselves can be attractive to others. That's very high on their own priority. So, and that's why we're working with them now to identify the most important issues, the ones we can address ourselves, the ones that will have most impact, the ones that also will apply to most small and medium enterprises in the country that they'll be happy with.
One of the ideas we are seeing is that there are going to be engagements, advocacy engagements with regulators and also legislative engagement. How prepared is UN Global Compact to collaborate and lend support in that regard?
Yeah, as long as the small and medium enterprises have identified this as very important to them, we'll be able to do that. Many of them are having challenges with NAFDAC. Many of them are having with Standards Organization of Nigeria, even with banks in terms of taking loans. They have to pay bribes in that respect. So how do we now ensure that we have contact with these agencies and to let them know that these are the issues, and whatever the small and medium enterprises are going through, it affects every one of us. If most of them die before they don't mature, they don't get to maturity, it does affect. Those are families, those are individuals, those are homes that are having problems, and we need to be able to let these organizations know that whatever they're doing does have impact on many of the small and medium enterprises. It hurts me actually when I hear what people are going through. If you have to pay, like somebody said here today, where he's going to sell his goods to, they already gave him a price. But then he has to deal with many of these agencies. Then he has to deal with people, police on the road, and all that. Those are not factored into the cost of the product at the end of the day. What will he do? it hurts every one of us. It hurts the government, it hurts individuals, it hurts families. So people have to know that this do have a great impact, and we need to address this as soon as possible.
For Mr. Eke Ubiji, Executive Secretary of the National Association of Small and Medium Enterprises, shares the perspective of the SMEs on the collective action.
This is a very welcome development, and the United Nations, Siemens, and the CBI should be commended for this. Because the issue of anti-corruption has been tackled from the physical side. What I mean by physical side is that the government use EFCC and all whatnot to harm people. But you also have to tackle it from the intellectual side and from the attitudinal level. You understand? And this is what this program is all about. So that from the area of attitude, intellectually, people will know what is good and bad and decide not to follow the bad side. That's why this program is. And now it's being run in such a way that it's going to permeate into various sectors. Look at, for example, the MSME sector is heavily mentioned here. You know that this sector constitutes how many percent of the businesses in Nigeria? It's quite huge. The potentials in that sector are quite huge. So if you're able to capture these huge potentials, the issue of corruption will be addressed, and the fight against corruption will be more intensified. You understand? As I said earlier on, it's being fought from the intellectual level, from attitudinal level, and so on and so forth. And then when we try to apply what we've learned here in our businesses, it's really going to be a different ballgame. For example, one of the things I picked as the issue of financial integrity. It's very, very important for every serious business. So if we all inculcate the attitude of anti-corruption, then our businesses will move normally. And look at access to finance is one of the areas that have been affecting businesses. Now, if you lack financial integrity, you cannot access funds. So you see that this is a solution coming from another angle, which will be very, very helpful to the MSME sector and all other businesses and individuals in Nigeria.
Clearly, if you cannot drive anti-corruption if it does not solve a survival need for SMEs. A survival need is access to finance. A survival need is to know how to deal with regulators. Those are the things that will drive their interest and participation. But their own, dealing with their own inadequacies in terms of risk, in terms of uncertainty, to build capacity amongst them and to be able to certify that they are able to do the right things, that is what will get these other parties to engage with them. So you see that from the things they have chosen today to work on is beginning to take shape around those issues. And we will also be speaking to the Office of the Acting President when the time comes, when we've defined what it is that the SMEs want. Then we need to get him to speak to those agencies directly to ensure that there's cooperation on changing the rules in a way that actually works for MSMEs, but for the MSMEs that are prepared to do the right thing and support the anti-corruption drive. So our thrust is about prevention of corruption before it happens, rather than chasing people with a blala after it has already taken place.
With increasing awareness for SMEs on the need to tackle corruption through the collaboration of the CBI, UN Global Compact Network, and Siemens, Nigeria could witness a transformation in the business environment that will positively impact the economy.